Our next speaker, if you thought Wayne's been coaching a long time, yeah, Wayne, you're right. He's old. He's old. He's really old. So he's been around longer than you. It's ridiculous. 51 years, winningest coach in Louisiana prep football history, second most wins in U.S. prep football history with 589. He's approaching a milestone himself. He's got his Patriots to 27 state finals on the field, and he's currently got his team at 8-0 and ranked #1 in the state, across the board in 5A. Patriots host Archbishop Rummel in a showdown of unbeaten teams Friday night at 7 p.m. at Joe Yanni Stadium, in a game that you can watch live at CrescentCitySports.com and on Cox Sports Television. Please give a warm quarterback club welcome to Coach J.T. Curtis of the John Curtis Christian Patriots.
Thank you, Kenny. It is a pleasure to be here, and a pleasure to be able to listen to Coach and to all of the accolades that he brings to the public school system in Orleans Parish. I think it's so important that we recognize that we support all of our young people. Keeping these young people involved in positive activities are extremely important. And the commitment that the guys in the public school system, inner city system, sometimes goes unnoticed, but it is a life-changing experience. We have a big game, as all of them are, week by week. We play Archbishop Rummel Friday night at Joe Yanni, 7 o'clock. Probably the best defensive football team that maybe we have ever faced through the course of all these years. As many of you all know, they've given up a total of 1 touchdown and I think 2 field goals through the course of the year. Last week they had an interception run back for a touchdown. But the defense as a whole has only given up 1 7-point stint in the entire season. So it's going to be a good ball game. Coach Monica, who took over for Jay Roth, has just continued that same tradition that Rummel has always lived under. He was the defensive coach prior to becoming the head coach, and he has just kept that role, and they have not missed a beat. They run extremely well. They have great team speed, and they just limit the kind of big plays that you look for as an offense. And so I think the consistency of making sure that we take care of the football, that we do extremely well in the kicking game, try to create field position, and not turn the ball over is going to be a key factor anytime you're in a game of this magnitude, but certainly on a consistent basis if you're going to win. Our quarterback, who was selected as the prep player of the week, has had an outstanding year for us. He runs our offense extremely well. He's a very bright young man. He's an academic all-state selectee by the LHSAA, is committed to Army, and I think will fit into their program and into their style of offense extremely well. And again, an option type, ball control type offense that I think he fits right into. He's a very cerebral young man who studies the game and understands the concepts. Again, I'm going to just kind of end it there and tell you to get out to see the ball game, and I think you'll enjoy it, and open it up for any questions anybody might have. Yes, ma'am.
I have a question for you. You say do you spend more time savoring your victories or lamenting your occasional loss, or do you spend equal time on them?
Well, let me say to you, I think you learn more from your losses than you do your wins. Because what you have a tendency to do when you're successful is to overlook little things. And when you lose, you have a tendency to go back and emphasize little things. One of the things that I have tried to do through the years is in certain ball games, or particularly games that are big games that we have won, and go back and approach that game as though we had lost it. And how would I feel on that Saturday morning evaluating the breakdown of the film or the tape today as if we had lost that ball game. So I work hard to try to make sure that I approach each game the same way. Well, you don't want to emphasize and you don't want to dwell on the negatives, but you certainly have to correct them. And so we try to, after Saturday morning when we look at our game tape, put it behind us and move on to the next week, make our corrections, and then move on to what's going to be in front of us the next week. Yes, sir.
Yeah, Coach, we know your football team's good. Like you were telling me over there, tell us about your grandson's trip to the White House.
Yeah, I've become Jeff Curtis's grandfather. My grandson Jeff played on the World Series team that was invited to the White House. They got tickets to the Auburn game, which, by the way, I couldn't get, Gordy. But I tried to never call everybody I knew and said, I'm sorry, you're out, pal. Your grandson's in, you're out. But they had just had a tremendous ride. The event at the White House was just unbelievable. This is not a political statement for anyone, but I'm telling you, the guy is what you see is what you get. I mean, he had as good a time with those young boys as you could imagine. Also, what a lot of people didn't realize in our community, the girls were invited too. I believe, Jeff, North Carolina, the girls from North Carolina were also invited, who won the national championship. The parents were not allowed in the Oval Office, only the players, and they had the time of their life. I'll tell a quick story if I can, Kenny. They're all in there talking and they're having a good time. And of course, little Jeffrey had to relay the story to us because Jeff wasn't in the meeting, as none of the parents were. One of the little girls said to the president, where's the red button? And he said, it's right here in this drawer. And he said, you know what happens if you press the red button? And little Jeff said, yes, sir, World War III breaks out. And he looked at the little girl and he said, do you want to press it? She goes, I'll press it. So he walked over and opened the drawer, and she walked over and pressed it. And about 30 seconds later, a lady walked in and said, here's your Diet Coke, Mr. President. But that's the kind of shenanigans went on in that oval. And now again, the parents were not invited in, okay? The other story he told was, if you watched the news that day, and I came home because we played Friday night, and I was watching one of the news stations. They were talking about the China delegation had come to an agreement with the administration on trade. And they were going to have a meeting with the president. That's all that I heard, and I got ready to go to the game. The story goes, the lady walks into the office and says, Mr. President, the China delegation is here when you're ready. And he said, thank you. She left, and he said, what y'all want to do? Y'all want to make them wait? And the kid said, yeah, make them wait. He said, okay, we'll make them wait. And they sat around and fooled around in the office, and he said, well, let me go ahead and we'll get ready to go. Another thing real quick, the ride on the Air Force One was not expected. That was not part of the agenda. After the meeting was up, they were supposed to come on home on their separate plane trips and so forth. He looked at his one of his security people and said, I'm going to Louisiana tonight, aren't I? He said, yes, sir, you're going to Lake Charles. He said, I want all these people to go with me. All these kids can come. And all the Louisiana kids can come. And the guy said, well, Mr. President, I don't know. We got a full plane, and I don't know if we can make those arrangements. And Jeff said, it got kind of quiet. And he said, I am the president, right? Make it happen. So they bumped 6 of our representatives off Air Force One to the second plane. And all those kids rode on Air Force One to Lake Charles. And I asked little Jeff, I said, how was it, son? He said, it was luxurious, Papa. He said, it was just luxurious. And they had the time of their life. One of the guys told Jeff, my son Jeff, he said, it was the best plane trip on Air Force One we ever had. People were talking and laughing, the kids were having a good time, and the president was having a good time. So we really got to see a different perspective of him, and it was a tremendous, tremendous thing for him to invite those kids and to interact with them the way he did. Okay, any questions about ball?
Great story. Great story.
Coach, can you talk about your great experiences on Friday night?
Yeah, I will. You know, there's an old saying in a good Baptist church that what happens is that you have to suffer on earth to have your crown of glory in heaven. So I've got that covered with Friday Night Football. Okay? Mine will be big. If the Catholics have it right, you go to purgatory, I am out. Putting up with him on Friday Night Football, I am out. I am directly into heaven. Lord have mercy. I've got to keep him calmed down. Y'all need to come one night. Y'all want to come and just watch that one time. You would gain a tremendous insight into anxiousness. Is that a good way to say it? Anxiousness. In seriousness, we had the best time doing Friday night football of anything I've ever done outside of the sport. I can't tell you how many times I've had kids from 35 or from Booker T or from Rummel or from Brother Martin say, Coach, you remember me? I was number 35. You said I scored that long touchdown run against so-and-so. And I'll say, yeah, I remember you. I got no idea who that boy was. I've had so many 35s or 28 scored touchdowns. But I'm telling you, it impacts their life. It impacts their life in a positive way. And when we thought about beginning this, I think that was one of the things that we had in mind. Could we impact the lives of these young people? And that's the reason that we do Scholar Athlete. That's the reason we do cheerleaders. That's why we're doing dance teams. We're doing featuring young people and all the positive things they do in their life. And we absolutely love doing it. And I appreciate the opportunity to do it and to work with Ed and to hopefully continue it for a few more years anyway.